Hello, this has just arrived in the post today. The GJ Locks new 7-lever pick set, as announced earlier this week by Jason Hillier. And slight change to the box here, very patriotic, made in Britain. I quite like that stamp actually on the box. So what do we get inside there? We get the pin and cam tool itself, which is a format that I'm pretty certain a lot of you are going to be familiar with. You can see it has an upstand, a thrower already in position on the end there. And we've got two marks on here, which is nice to see as well. So you've got a minimum and a maximum rotation mark on there. And obviously there's 7 holes in there for 7 pins. Talking of which, here we are. You've got your pin tray. And these are conveniently numbered or lettered A, B, C and D, D being the shortest lift, and then up to A, which is your highest lift. And these do overlap each other in the pin and cam tool. So, for example, if D covered heights 6, 5 and 4, then C would then cover 5, 4 and 3. And then B would be 4, 3 and 2, for example. So there's overlap on these, which means what you're not doing is you're not actually creating a key. You are literally just using the pin and cam tool to pick the lock and nothing else. There's a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, which are actually really useful because putting the pins into this pin and cam tool is really fiddly. So these are a great help. And then you have the obligatory pot of grease to retain the pins in the tool and stop them falling out into the lock. You'll also get a sheet which explains various aspects about the pick and how it is, as I say, a pin and cam tool for picking and not basically not a tool for creating a makeup key. Without any further chat about that, in my vise, let's move my camera down, there we go. I've opened quite a few locks with this afternoon. And this one is a Walsall S1311 Ace 7-lever safe lock. And this particular lock obviously has 7 levers. It's used in safes and gun cabinet locks. It's got a 12mm bolt throw, and it's available in key retaining or non-key retaining. And this particular one here is not a key retaining version. And the reason I've chosen this lock, and there's two reasons, as you will see. I've actually put the bitting for the lock along the top there. So 2, 1, 3, 4, 6, 5, 2. So there are 6 different lever heights inside here. So we've got the full range of levers inside this lock, and also levers 1 and 6 are the only ones that have a large anti-pick notch on them, and the rest of them don't have anti-pick. But that's quite good, because if it gets caught in anti-pick, then you can use it as a diagnostic tool straight away to work out whether you've got a 1 or a 6 in this lock. So there's your bitting. I'm going to leave that up there. I'm not going to pretend I haven't picked this and I don't know what's inside. But what we will do is we will use this and with the pin and cam tool and check that the feedback is as expected when we're working our way through this lock, and therefore it'll help understand when we're actually picking blinds later on. So in the tool itself, I have already loaded up with the D pin, which is the shortest one. This is the most fiddly one, and as you can see there, all of those pins are actually flush with the top of the tool there. And if we pull that out onto pin 7, and if I rotate, you can see that it's lifted that practically what I would suggest is 2 heights. So there's quite a lot of lift on this. So let's pop that in, and I'm going to use just a sort of a medium tension, just enough to pull that bolt stump against the lever pack. And what we're looking for is we're looking for levers that are clearly going to be binding, levers that give us feedback. So The other thing I wanted to show you with this particular lock, and this is not really meant to be a tutorial, I suppose, on locks, but on this particular lock, when you put this pick in and push it to the back, I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually quite a amount of play in there. And if you just push it in and start picking, what you will find is the lever nearest the cap here will not lift because the pick has moved in too far. So once you've popped that pick in, you then need to pull it out so that the back of the pick is against the cap. And then you know that you are actually going to be picking the full range of levers inside the lock. So picking the tension up, and I'm going to start feeding the feedback. So you can see there, I'm moving between the two marks. I'm getting no feedback at all on lever 1. So let's go out to lever 2. And lever 2, as you can see, virtually stops straight away there. It doesn't rotate round, it just comes to a dead stop. Now remember, this is lever height 1, and lever height 1 and lever height 6 both have anti-pick on them. The anti-pick on a 1 is going to be literally as the lever rests, it's almost virtually straight in its anti-pick, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. It's the highest lift lever, and it's bound straight away. So before even testing anything else inside this lock, I know that feedback there is telling me that that lever 1 is in anti-pick. And once you know your locks, you will then know that the only reason that can be an anti-pick is because it's the highest lift lever. So you could, in theory, cheat here and you could go straight for a high lift pin. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to swap that out for the next height, which is going to be a C. So we'll pop that in there. As I say, these are very fiddly. I can see these being dropped and lost quite easily. So take your time, and obviously make sure you do it over something so that when you drop the pin, you're going to be able to find it. So let's pop that back in. We'll pull it back out against the cap. So we know that we're on all the levers. We'll go back to lever 1. Still no feedback. Lever 2 is now giving me a little bit more feedback. What it's doing is it's kind of grinding a little bit, and then it releases. So as I said, it was in anti-pick. We know that's going to be one of the highest lift levers in the lock. So I'm going to take that pin out. I'm going to lift it up to a B height on this pin set, and that, in theory, should be all we need to do with that lever, because now we'll be able to lift that. Because of the overlap, we should now be able to lift that up and free that lever off into its true gate. So let's just pop that back in. Right. So now 1, I can now feel the fence of 1 starting to rub against the tool. It's very subtle. I'm not going to react to that, but it is there. There's the second lever, which is now lifted up to its maximum and it's gone loose, which is good. Next one, a little bit of grind on the fence there. And the next one. Next lever's loose. That lever's loose. And then finally the lever closest to the cap, which is 7. Okay. Now, remembering this is a pick, we've gone through the entire lever pack here, and we've basically tested all of the levers for feedback. I'm going to keep the tension on now. I'm going to go back another time, and there we go. We can see that that first lever now basically was bound and then released. And when we get that sort of feedback with the pin and cam tool, we then adjust the pin. So let's take that lowest lift pin out of there. This is the one that's hardest to change because it's actually real close to this bolt thrower. So we'll pop that out. We'll put the next height in. Obviously this is going to be quite a lengthy process. let's just pop that in there. I'm going to do it over the box in case I drop it. There we go, so we've got that in. Let's put the next pin back in, which I had to take out to make some space. There we go. Right, let's pop that back in now. Remember to pull this pick out so that it's against the cap. Now we're on lever 1. Okay, so that was bound a little bit and then it's released. That's what you're feeling for. And same with the second one. So the first 2 levers now have both released into their true gate. The third one now, as you can see, is heavily bound. So we're working our way through the binding order in this lock, and we're now on this third lever. So now I'm going to lift that pin out. I'm going to put the next height into there. And so this is all pretty standard pin and cam methodology. Okay, going back to the beginning, releasing lever 1, releasing lever 2, lever 3 is just released in the middle there, so it's lifted up effectively 1 step. So now those front 3 levers, as far as I'm concerned, are all actually picked. So let's go to lever 4. Little bit of a grind there, but nothing really to write home about. Go to the next one, is loose. We'll go to the next one, that's loose, and we'll go to the final lever, number 7, and that's bound now. That's heavily bound, and then it releases up the top there. So what we're going to do is lift that up to the next height. We'll pop that out, the small one. We'll put the next height in. There we go. And so now we're starting to see a pattern on the pin and cam tool. So we're going to go all the way back to the to lever 1, release lever 1, pick lever 2, pick lever 3, 4 is loose, 5 is loose, 6 is loose, and 7 was slightly bound and then released. Let's go back to the beginning. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 was the only one that gave me some feedback there. It started to lift. It was bound and then it released, so we're going to put that up to the next pin height. There we go. And now we'll see how the lock feels with that particular pin combination in there. So 1 now is fine, is feeling bound and then releasing. 2, 3, 4, 5 is loose, 6 is loose, and 7 has now got the lock. So you can see, working through the binding order in that lock, as each pin was being picked and becoming loose, the next pin was actually binding up until we got to this stage where obviously we've now got the lock open. Now remember, this isn't a key, so if I lock that up again and then when I turn this, you can see it's not going to open the lock. So it has to be picked every time. But then that's obviously not the idea of this tool. The idea of this tool is to get the cabinets open, and once that's open, you can then there we go. So as you saw, we lifted each lever and we picked this and we got it open. And with our little bit of knowledge on the on this particular lock and where the anti-pick notches reside, we can tell very quickly whether we've got the highest lift lever inside there. And the 6 is the lowest lift lever, which of course was already effectively in its gate. But if we had actually lifted that too high, that would have gone into anti-pick after its true gate, but not in this particular case. So yeah, absolutely brilliant tool. Does what it says on the tin. As you can see, it's worked through this and it's allowed us to open this particular lock. I've already picked quite a few different locks. This one is my favorite so far, and I'm just going to carry on and see what else this wonderful tool can do for us.